World leaders, CEOs, and the global elite of the World Economic Forum meet annually in Davos to solve the world's problems. Why would there be many world problems if the industry leaders, bankers, and politicians from 1971 onwards have gathered every year to solve the world's problems? Isn't it illogical that after 50 years of meetings between environmentalists and the CEOs of the most polluting companies, nature is gradually doing worse, not better? World Economic Forum Board of Trustees members Larry Fink, Chairman and CEO of BlackRock, Kristalina Georgieva, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, President of the European Central Bank, as well as Patrice Motsepe, Al Gore, and 23 others, including Klaus Schwab.
Mark Carney, of course, he's not just a member of the World Economic Forum, he's on the Board of Trustees. He is an important, very profoundly important core member of the World Economic Forum. And in about 10 seconds of searching, which will reveal, for example, a panel discussion, a World Economic Forum hosted panel discussion, led by Klaus Schwab's daughter, Nicole, and featuring such speakers as Mark Carney and Bill Gates on the subject of carbon markets.
Welcome to this session, Carbon Markets, a conversation with Bill Gates, Mark Carney, Annette Nazareth, and Bill Winters.
Patrice Motsepe gets appointed as a trustee, the Board of Trustees of the World Economic Forum.
This company quite literally owns the world. Most US banks are controlled by BlackRock. BlackRock owns all the major pharmaceutical companies. BlackRock owns most of the mainstream media. And BlackRock oversees roughly 10% of all stocks traded worldwide. And this company is now taking over governments. All of this has allowed BlackRock to amass $10 trillion in assets. Yes, trillion. BlackRock is worth half of America's total GDP. It's so crazy that the US and Chinese government now rely on BlackRock to escape recessions, with BlackRock's founder and CEO now sitting on the boards of the influential Council on Foreign Relations and the World Economic Forum.
Meet some of the World Economic Forum partners.
For example, we could turn to their Our Partners page to see the types of companies that the World Economic Forum partners with. And I don't know, let's do a test. What's in the news lately? JBS, right? Oh, JBS, all right. They're the cyber attack. We just got hacked, and now it's going to cause food supply disruptions, exactly in line with the World Economic Forum co-hosted Cyber Polygon 2021 event that's going to simulate cyber attacks disrupting corporate supply chains. Wow, what a weird coincidence. And while we're here, JBS, and how about, I don't know, Johnson & Johnson. They're in the news for certain pharmaceutical products. Actually, while we're at it, what other pharmaceutical companies are in the news these days? How about Pfizer? Yep, there they are. Okay. How about AstraZeneca? They're also in the news for their products. Let me see. AstraZeneca. There you go. Hey, this is kind of a who's who of the global corporatocracy, isn't it?
We partnered with Google, for example. If you Google climate change, you will, at the top of your search, you will get all kinds of UN resources.
It is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet. And once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance. The insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field.
Seems Facebook's independent fact-checker may not be so independent after all. A US congressman has questioned the impartiality of factcheck.org, which is supposed to tackle disinformation because it's indirectly funded by manufacturer Johnson & Johnson.
Who pays the paychecks of the fact-checkers? The fact-checkers at factcheck.org, who claim to be independent, are funded by an organisation that holds over $1.8 billion of stocks in a vaccine company and is run by a former director of the Centers for Disease Control.
For journalistic analysis and views, the big media use Project Syndicate. This is the most powerful organisation in the field. Project Syndicate and organisations like I mentioned are together with the press agencies the link between all worldwide media outlets. When news anchors read from their audio cues, chances are that the text stems from one of these organizations. That is the reason that worldwide media shows synchronicity in their reporting.
Sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Who sponsors the organization and press agencies that produce our news? With Project Syndicate, we see the BMGF, the Open Society Foundation and the European Journalism Center.
Some other World Economic Forum partners are Amazon, TikTok, Zoom, Facebook/Meta, Time, The New York Times, Naspers, Microsoft, MultiChoice, Lloyds Banking Group, Moderna. Founder and Executive Chairman of the World Economic Forum, Professor Klaus Schwab.
History is truly at a turning point.
Who is attempting to steer the world towards his vision of the Great Convergence, with brain chips implanted in our heads and all the other craziness that he himself promotes. That isn't me. He himself is talking about this stuff.
On va les implanter dans nos vêtements, c'est-à-dire wearables, comme on le dit. Et après, on pourrait s'imaginer qu'on les implante dans nos cerveaux ou dans notre peau. Et à la fin, peut-être il y a une communication directe entre notre cerveau et le monde digital. Ce que nous voyons, c'est une sorte de fusion du monde physique, digital et biologique.
The World Economic Forum is rebranding the old New World Order into the Great Reset. It's the same thing that we've been seeing for a very long time, just with a different gloss and different packaging. That isn't to downplay the importance of that. Bidding to be the management team for Globalist Inc. is an important thing in the gopher structure, the middleman structure of this power grid, and it is important who they place in that position and who gets to dictate what companies thrive, what governments are given a passing grade, etc. Oh, the World Economic Forum will come along with their ESG, environment, social, and governance responsibilities for corporations, and they'll come up with the guide by which we grade who will essentially be allowed to operate internationally and not in this globalist structure, etc., etc.
You can't not look at what's going on with this. And again, Klaus Schwab, everyone should know who he is because I think there's people above him. But if you want to find the face of the evil behind this last 2 years, that's where you go. Davos and him. And he wrote a book, The Great Reset, before any of us really heard about it. Certainly before we heard about the Great Reset. And what it's about, like Rockefeller said, we need one good crisis to implement the New World Order. And that is what the Great Reset is. Build Back Better is the New World Order, one world government.
In his book, The Great Reset, he writes about the plans of his organization. According to him, a great opportunity to reset our societies. He calls it Building Back Better. The slogan is now on the lips of all globalist politicians in the world.
We also want to work together on building back better.
I call it Build Back Better.
4 sets of priorities can guide the response to build back better.
But also to build back better.
Has provided an opportunity for a reset.
That's precisely what they want. Because let's not forget, you cannot build something new, build back better, unless you first destroy it. And that's what the Great Reset part of this is. They want to destroy our trust in institutions. And of course, they control those institutions, and they are able to therefore destroy our trust in them because they are implementing policies that are absolutely bonkers. So they will destroy our trust in these institutions. That will lead to a huge gap of trust between the people and the state. The people will reject the state eventually. There will be food shortages, gas and energy shortages. That leads to riots, it leads to crime, it leads to a breakdown of society. They're attacking everything sacred, as we've just discussed. And what they're hoping to achieve is through the tearing apart of the fabric of our society, is the total collapse of our financial system. And they're hoping they can replace that with their new world order.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
The UN presented in 2015 her controversial Agenda 2030. It is almost identical to the Great Reset of Klaus Schwab. The UN wants to make sure, as does Schwab, that in 2030 poverty, hunger, pollution and disease no longer plague the earth. Sounds nice, but wait till you read the small print. The plan is that Agenda 2030 will be paid by us, the citizens. Just like they ask of us now to give away our rights for public health, they will ask us to give away our wealth to battle poverty. These are no conspiracy theories. It is on their official website. It comes down to this. The UN wants taxes from Western countries to be split by the mega corporations of the elite to create a brand new society. The new infrastructure because fossil fuels are gone in 2030. For this project, the UN says we need a world government, namely the UN itself. The UN agrees with Schwab that a is a golden chance to accelerate the implementation of Agenda 2030. It is worrisome that the WEF and the UN openly admit that pandemics and other catastrophes can be used to reshape society.